goes from this to this. Yeah, come on. Hey guys, Mitch here with the TheAudioDabbler YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Eventide's QVox that they just ported over to iOS. This is their continued port of their H9 series of plugins that they have on their H9 pedal. And this one is amazing. It is a 4-voice pitch shifter. Now this is not to be confused with their Quadravox harmonizer that they do have for the desktop, which I think is why they renamed this one QVox, because it is named Quadravox on the H9 pedal. But to stop with any confusion, they named this QVox. But I actually do have their Quadravox harmonizer for the desktop, and if you would like to see a demo of that, which it is pretty amazing as well, then leave a comment below and I can see what I can do about bringing in some more desktop stuff on my channel, because I would like to do that. But let's stop my talking and let's get in and see how this QVox can make some crazy sounds. Alright, so this is the QVox app by Eventide, and it is set up pretty much just like all the rest of their apps, which is a nice, clean, clear, concise interface. The knobs are pretty well tell you what they do, and if you ever need any additional help on what those knobs do, they're always this little trusty eye icon. So their documentation is always really well, and you can go through here and read, and it's pretty precise on what they can do. If you haven't ever seen any of their apps before, you've got your presets over here on the side. Usually they come with a lot more presets. This one doesn't really come with that many presets, but I mean, really the meat of this thing is just getting in and playing around with it. I've created two. I haven't really spent a whole lot of time just creating presets, but I will create a lot more as time goes on. You have your basic input and output on respective sides here. You have your mix knob, which just basically controls the mix. Your pitch mix, which I've seen I guess a little bit of negative on this on forums and stuff, but this is a hard pan left and right, so A and C are to the left, B and D are to the right, and those are speaking of the corresponding pitches here. And so A and C pitches are going to be to the left, and B and D are going to be to the right, and you can adjust this. There's no other kind of settings that you can make with these particular controls. It is what it is, and I feel like it works out pretty well. Alright, so let's get into the kind of the meat of what this app is, which is a 4-voice pitch shifter. And if you move the knobs all the way to the left, you can turn every single one of them off. and as you move them to the right, you'll get second octave, all the way to 1 octave, to the unison, to 1 octave, all the way back up to second octave. Alright, so what that means is, let's jump over to this little handy diagram here. And if you play a C and a C major, you will be playing the root or unison. Alright, and if you play one note up, will be kind of the second degree in the scale, and third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, which will also be 1 octave. Now once you get to 1 octave, the D right here is considered the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th, and so on until you get to the second octave. And now you'll see that come up a lot in chords. I'm not going to get too explaining in this part, but you'll see like 9th chords, 11th chords, 12th chords. That's what that means. That means you're just going beyond 1 octave up, spreading the chord out across the keyboard. And so that's kind of what that means. And then when you're going into the reverse, you know, the second is a D, but -2 is going to be a B, -3, -4, and so on that way to the 14th, and then you'll get 2 octaves down. Alright, continuing on, you have the key and mode, which is kind of important because the key and mode is what set the note. When you play a note, it's going to set what the note is and how these respond based on the key and the mode that you are in. So you kind of, when you're noodling around, you need to know, okay, I want to noodle around in C major, all the white keys, and so I'll have it C major. If you want to be doing like harmonic minors, Lydians, Phrygian, Dorian, you know, any of these crazy scales that I have. They got quite a few. Major, minor will be the main ones that most people will be using, and keys all the way from C to B. And just make sure that you got that set correctly, or you know, you could get some crazy sounding notes in your little melodies or whatever you're creating with this app. Alright, the delay group is really fun because when you're playing this and you have the delay to no delay, then it's going to play all of these notes at the same time. And so you could create, essentially you could create chords if you set this to, say, unison, third, fifth, and like 7th. You know, I'm basically creating a chord because I'm not delaying. But where the magic happens, I think, in this app, well, this is one of the magical things because that sounds really good. Or if you want to bring some bass into it, you know, it sounds really good. But whenever you start adding in, let's bring this back up to unison, adding in this delay. Now the delay, you can see this little arrow or this little line right here, that's going to pitch D. Now pitch D is where this is going to be what you're setting the delay to, is that last pitch. And so if you have it set to half and you have all of these turned off, you're going to hear a half note, and this is based on this synced right here. But say you turn on pitch A, you know, it's playing pitch A along with the note that you're first playing. But if I move this all the way to where there's a dot in front of A, then you're going to hear a note, hear A, and then hear the pitch D delay. And so you're setting the delay to the pitch, you're setting the delay of D, and then it kind of divides the rest of them up depending on how you have this delay group set up. And so if you want to this say unison and third, then it's going to play A and B at the same time, because you can see here that A and B does not have a dot. So anytime that when you're moving this around, if they don't have a dot in between them, then it's going to be playing those at the same time. So you can, that's where, you know, there's crazy rhythms and things can come from, is messing around with these delay groups, and the delay time of the pitch D divides the rest of the pitches up based on what that is. Now you can do, I guess a little trick is if you go to manual, say you're at 120, but you want to speed it way up, then you could manually set this up to like 240. If I can get it to 240. Or I could set it way down to like 60. And kind of half time it so that you can get a full measure of delay on that. So that's kind of it's good to have the manual. I'm glad they have that manual setting in there for things like that, so that you can kind of half and get things like that. So that is always very fun as well. Alright, let's take a look at this ribbon. They've added it to all of their apps, and it's just really fun. And so to set it up, you just click on either side that you want, and then you move a knob. And then you click on the other side, and then you move that knob. And then say if you want to variate that, but actually I want this to kind of go in the opposite direction. And so now as I move this, you know, you can change a lot of parameters at once without having to sit there and twiddle your fingers trying to get 2 or 3 fingers on the screen. You have this control right here, a simple ribbon. It's just very fluid on iOS. Another little thing to note is you can, so if I'm in AUM here, and if I go down to QVox and I go down to the ribbon control, this little guy right here, if I click it, then that means I can control the ribbon here with this little guy. And so I don't have to have, you know, crazy bunch of windows open. If I have this app set, then I can just use this little side note here, this little side thing, and do some, you know, cool controls that way. So really love that feature inside of AUM. A little nugget of knowledge there. All right, let's take a basic patch Xeon here. And let's just see what one app can do to that sound. guys, thanks for watching this video on QVox. Hopefully that was helpful and useful, and at least give you some sort of sense of some of the crazy things that this app can do as far as adding melodies, adding some crazy things to drums. It's really fun to just add some just different harmonic textures to different sounds. And you know, as I showed you, you could take a simple basic patch from Xeon and just add in these harmonics and all these things, and it just makes that one little sound just so huge and just dynamic and just amazing. And there is so much more that you can do with this app that just I can't sit here and film all day. So with that being said, likes are always appreciated, and share my video on your favorite social media. I do have Patreon and a direct PayPal me link in the description if you're into supporting content creators that way. If not, then just you know, like and share my videos, and it's definitely going to find its way into my workflow because it's just so inspiring. And so yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later.